High Court, District Court, Magistrates Court, Special Courts and Tribunals. The government of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, commonly known as the Hong Kong Government or HKSAR Government, refers to the executive authorities of Hong Kong SA. It was formed in July 1997 in accordance with the Sino-British Joint Declaration of 1983, an international treaty lodged at the United Nations. This government replaced the former British Hong Kong government. The chief executive also nominates principal officials for appointment by the State Council of the People's Republic of China. The government secretariat is headed by the Chief Secretary of Hong Kong, who is the most senior principal official of the government. The Chief Secretary and the other secretaries jointly oversee the administration of the SA, give advice to the Chief Executive as members of the Executive Council, and are accountable for their actions and policies to the Chief Executive and the Legislative Council. Under the one country, two systems constitutional principle, the government is, in law, exclusively in charge of Hong Kong's internal affairs and external relations. The government of the People's Republic of China, of which the Hong Kong government is financially independent, is responsible for Hong Kong's defense and foreign policy. Despite gradually evolving, the overall governmental structure was inherited from British Hong Kong. The chief executive is the head of region and head of government of Hong Kong. The Basic Law designates a system of governance led by a chief executive and an executive council, with a two-tiered system of semi-representative government and an independent judiciary. The chief executive is elected by an election committee, a 1,200-member electoral college consisting of individuals and bodies elected within 28 functional constituencies defined in the Basic Law. The winner is then appointed to the position by the Premier of the People's Republic of China. The chief executive is responsible for implementing the Basic Law, signing bills and budgets, promulgating laws, making decisions on government policies, and issuing executive orders. The chief executive, Carrie Lam, began exercise of her unfettered residual powers of lawmaking by decree on 4 October 2019. Under the Emergency Regulations Ordinance, Chapter 241 of the Laws of Hong Kong, bypassing the legislature. As of 1 July 1997, the Chief Executive of Hong Kong officially replaced the Governor of Hong Kong as the head of the government for Hong Kong following the transfer of sovereignty. The Chief Executive is assisted by the Chief Secretary for Administration and the Financial Secretary, and other secretaries who heads policy bureaus. The secretaries for each government affairs are appointed by the Central People's Government on the nomination of the Chief Executive. The Secretary for Justice is responsible for legal matters of the government and prosecution for criminal cases in the territory. The Independent Commission Against Corruption and Audit Commission report directly to the Chief Executive. The current Chief Executive is Carrie Lam. The Executive Council decides on matters of policy, the introduction of bills to the Legislative Council and the drafting of subordinate legislation. The Council consists of 15 principal officials and 14 non-official members. All members are appointed by the Chief Executive from among the senior officials of the executive authorities, members of the Legislative Council, and other influential public personnel. They serve for a period no longer than the expiry of the Chief Executive's term of office. In a system popularly called the Principal Officials Accountability System introduced by then Chief Executive Tung Chee-hwa in July 2002, all principal officials, including the Chief Secretary, Financial Secretary, Secretary for Justice and heads of Government Bureau would no longer be politically neutral career civil servants, but would all be political appointees chosen by the Chief Executive from within or outside the civil service. The system was portrayed as the key to solve previous administrative problems, notably the cooperation of high-ranking civil servants with the Chief Executive. Under the new system, there are 3 secretaries of department and 13 directors of bureau. The system is aimed at raising the accountability of the civil service, so the political appointees are responsible for all their job aspects and will step down if they make any failure. Under the new system, all heads of bureau became members of the Executive Council and came directly under the Chief Executive instead of the Chief Secretary or the Financial Secretary. The government released a report on the further development of the political appointment system on the 17th of October 2007. 2 new layers. Deputy directors of bureau and assistants to directors would be added to the political appointments. Each director of bureau will be as